What's up, YouTube? Thanks for tuning in to Trash Panic Garage. This is actually the first video drop of the 2025 calendar year. Hopefully you like our new video intro. As some of you know, we recently installed a catback exhaust kit from QuickTime Performance on our 2017 Jeep Wrangler JK Sport. Now, first off, if you caught our last exhaust install video and you were wondering if we did that chasing some sort of torque or horsepower gains on this motor, I will say no, we didn't. In fact, if you stick around to the end of this video, I'll drop a little hint as to why we modified the exhaust. As I somewhat expected, we actually experienced a change in the torque curve of the motor's performance, and it feels like we've actually lost some torque below about 2,000 RPM. Now, I've experienced this sort of torque loss phenomenon on other vehicles that I've done exhaust modifications to include more free-flowing mufflers or even short tube headers. I would like to get back to the factory torque curve, or what I felt before the exhaust modifications, and I think we have a couple options to do that. One is to create a restriction in the exhaust. Two would be to put the ECM back into adaptive learning mode to see if it makes any air-fuel ratio changes. I'm going to start with the exhaust modification, and just as an experiment, I'm curious if we can do this by just modifying the exhaust tip only. Now, to kick this off, I went to sendcutsend.com, as I know that they have some templates preloaded on their website that you can have laser cut out of various materials. And one of those I think will work great for a makeshift exhaust baffle. Our exhaust from QuickTime Performance is made out of 3 or 4 stainless, so I had this pattern cut out of 3 or 4 stainless from the various material options on the sendcutsend.com website. Then I found this 2.5-inch OD to 2-inch OD exhaust reducer, also made out of stainless, from a company called Ace Race Parts up in Washington. I should add that I also modified the turn down angle on my exhaust tip to about 45 degrees before I took it to my local exhaust shop and asked them to add the baffle and the reducer cone with a couple of TIG weld passes around the tip. I really have 2 goals for this little experiment. One is to add enough restriction that it brings me back to that factory feel. And 2, I'm hoping that maybe with the sort of reverse megaphone effect of this exhaust reducer, that we'll actually get a volume reduction of maybe a couple decibels. We'll see. So the $1 million question is, did this little experiment work? I will say that it feels like I've pushed some of that torque down below the 2,000 RPM mark, even though I don't really have an objective way to measure that other than the old butt dyno, if you will. The decibel reduction is going to be a little bit trickier to prove. I do have a decibel meter app on my iPhone, and I did use it to take some pre and post readings. I've done the post readings a couple of times, and it appears to show a reduction of between 1 and 3 decibels on average at idle with the engine warm. However, I'm guessing there's just too much variance in the app and too many variables in the actual sound recording process for me to be able to prove that objectively. Overall, I'm happy with the results. I still plan to reset the ECM, and that's not just as simple as disconnecting the battery. There are a couple of extra steps to trigger the actual reset. That's it for this episode. As always, thanks for tuning in to Trash Panic Garage. And until the next time, get out there, build something.